Okay, so you will need your book for this activity. It is a grammar lesson on page 170. So please open your book to page 170. Once you are on that page, you will see something that looks like this. And this is, like I said, a grammar lesson on page 170. So this grammar lesson has to do with the future tense. And in English, when you talk about the future tense, you need to use the word will. So here you have two different boxes. You have the affirmative and the negative. The affirmative is like the positive or like the answer yes. It's like the check mark yes, affirmative. So this is like yes. And I apologize for my bad writing, but it's yes. And then the negative is the no answer. So this is like no, negative. Affirmative is yes, and negative is no. So here you have two different options or two different examples. You have the verb will in both of them. My mother will watch the kids. This is future tense. My mother will watch the kids. At the bottom you have an apostrophe LL because when you have the pronoun she, instead of writing my mother and you have the pronoun she, you can actually combine that with the word will by putting in apostrophe LL. And what you have when you write that together is she'll. She'll watch the kids. So I'm going to quickly type this for you so that you can better understand what it looks like in a complete sentence. So here, the first box, you have my mother will watch the kids. You can replace my mother with she, and you would add apostrophe LL, and then watch the kids. So she'll is the conjunction of the words she and will. When you put those together, you get she'll. So what basically happens is that the WI is deleted and you put in an apostrophe and you get the word she'll. This is different from the word, for example, you have in English the word shall. Shall is not she'll. The apostrophe makes it a longer sound. So this is the word shell, which is like a beach shell that you find in the sand. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about the conjunction of she and will, where you get she'll. So my mother will watch the kids, or if you want to say she will watch the kids, you shorten it to she'll watch the kids. And this is very common in English when we speak. So this is the affirmative. Let's do the negative. Frank will not go to the PTO meeting. Frank will not go to the PTO meeting. You can put will and not together and you get the conjunction won't. They won't go to the PTO meeting. So let's quickly just practice this in a complete sentence. You have Frank will not go to the PTO meeting. You can combine will not to make the word won't. So you can also say Frank won't go to the PTO meeting. And at the bottom you have another example. They won't go to the PTO meeting. So here you see how the word won't is created by combining will not. So when you put will not together, you get the conjunction won't. Will not becomes won't. So that's how you can practice that. My mother will watch the kids. She'll watch the kids. Frank will not go to the PTO meeting. They won't go to the meeting. will not together becomes won't. So let's practice by looking at section 1. Section 1, activity A. You can pause the video and do those questions on your own, or you can follow along. So here's an example. Anwar, work is the verb you need to use. Anwar will work the evening shift this week. He changed his schedule. So this is future tense. So you need to have the word work and future word will. Anwar will work the evening shift this week. Let's do number 2. You need to use the word play. Laura will play on the soccer team next year. Laura will play on the soccer team next year. So remember that you cannot combine this to say Laura. That's not correct. You need to have the full word. Laura will play on the soccer team next year. Let's look at 3. You have to use the verb have. The PTO will have a bake sale in October. The PTO will have a bake sale in October. So both of those were affirmative. Number 4, you will notice that it is negative because it has the word not. This one's a little different. It says, Raphael, you have to use the word not, and for the verb be, home until 5:30. He gets help with his homework after school. So the correct way to write that is, Raphael will not be home until 5:30. He gets help with his homework after school. Raphael will not be home until 5:30. So that's the negative, will not. Now let's look at 5. You have the technology club blank this week because Monday is a holiday. The technology club will not meet this week because Monday is a holiday. 6. Andre, you have to use the word be, late for dinner. He has football practice today. Andre will be late for dinner. He has football practice today. Then you have 7. The kids, you have to use the verb have with not. School on Friday because the teacher has a conference all day. The kids will not have school on Friday because the teacher has a conference all day. So that's some good practice for you using will and will not. And remember, every time you have will not, you can actually change that to won't. So for all those that are negative, like for number 4, instead of saying Raphael will not be home, you can say Raphael won't be home until 5:30. Same with number 5. So number 4 and 5. The technology club will not meet this week. You can say the technology club won't meet this week. And same with number 7. The kids will not have school on Friday. You can say the kids won't have school on Friday. And that's some practice with affirmative and negative and the future tense will and will not. So for example, if we're talking about the school closures, for example, you can ask, when will the school be open? When will the school be open? Well, as of right now, we can answer, the school will be open on May 5th. The school will be open on May 5th. And you can also do the negative. The school won't be open until May 5th. So that's two different ways so you can see how we use will and will not, which turns into won't. So complete activity B, it means you just have to complete the conversation. Use will for the future and the words in the box. Use contractions if possible. Let's do this very quickly. Can you go to Jimmy's baseball game this Thursday night? I'm sorry, I can't. I have to work. That's too bad. Jimmy will be sad. He wanted you to come. Will they, you have to choose one of these, again next week, right? Well, they blank again next week, right? Sounds like that will be, well, they will play again next week, right? I think there's a game next Friday. I will check the schedule. Okay, I will go to the next game. I promise. So these are different ways, and there are some contractions you can use, right? You can say, well, they'll play. So this is an example for that one where you can put they'll play again next week, right? I think there's a game next Friday. You can say instead of I will check, you can put I'll check the schedule. Same with, okay, I will go to the game, to the next game, I promise. You can change that into I'll go to the next game, I promise. So that's so you can practice contractions. If you want to keep getting more help or more practice, in your workbook, page 100, you will see another page of practice. I will provide the answers for you tomorrow, but that's some more practice on the grammar lesson for the future tense will and will not. So I hope that helps you with conversations.